Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. From time to time, someone will ask me for recommendations for a devotional resource, and when I give them my suggestion for daily devotions, they look at me like I'm crazy. Well, I might be crazy, but what I'm suggesting most definitely is not. I think our hymnal is one of the greatest devotional resources we have. And not only do I believe that every home should have one, but I also believe that in that time when you are sitting in church waiting for worship to start, it's a great time to get out the hymnal and to read the hymns you will use in worship that day. If you do that, you can focus on what the hymn says. You can get your mind and imagination going as you begin to think about God. And then it all adds up to your worship service when that hymn comes by. And even more, there are many resources in our hymnal, but don't overlook the benefit of reading and deciphering the hymns for a time of devotion each day. Read a line and ask yourself things like, what does this mean? Or how does this reveal God or speak to my life? Why did the author choose to say this that way? Explore thoughts or phrases that catch your imagination. You'll find this a very rich resource indeed. Our communion hymn for today is All Who Hunger Gather Gladly. And I chose it because this hymn and the hymns that we will look at tomorrow and Friday all have the word hunger or hungry in their title. And while the food and drink we get at communion isn't going to fill up our stomachs, we do hunger for this meal and find ourselves filled in a deeper, more real way. The first verse says, All who hunger gather gladly, holy manna is our bread. Come from wilderness and wandering, here in truth we will be fed. You that yearn for days of fullness, all around us is our food. Taste and see the grace eternal. Taste and see that God is good. This verse calls us back to the days of the Exodus, as Moses led the people out of slavery to the promised land. And what an intriguing idea that the bread of communion may be compared to manna. You may remember that manna was God's gift to sustain the people on their journey. And we can think of communion that way too. The bread of communion is God's gift to us, and through it we are sustained for our journey. Then, as they wandered in the wilderness, we are invited to return to God from the wildernesses to which we have strayed, and to find truth and meaning. God's bounty for us is everywhere, and we are reminded then that God's grace is eternal and to experience the goodness of God. Verse 2 reminds us that we are the family of God and brothers and sisters of one another. All who hunger, never strangers, seeker, be a welcome guest. Come from restlessness and roaming, here in joy we keep the feast. We that once were lost and scattered in communion's love have stood. Taste and see the grace eternal. Taste and see that God is good. This is a beautiful verse that calls us from our isolation and alienation from one another to find our peace in community and with God. It reminds us how the love expressed and experienced in communion is for each of us, but also for all of us. And no matter how far we have wandered or how dark our nights, we stand in God's love together. And we know God's grace is eternal and that God is good. Verse 3 begins echoing those same themes of coming together as God's family, experiencing God's love and grace. But there is a twist. All who hunger sing together. Jesus Christ is living bread. Come from loneliness and longing, here in peace we have been fed. Blessed are those who from this table live their days in gratitude. Taste and see the grace eternal. Taste and see that God is good. Did you notice the change toward the end? Now it's not just about coming to receive the gift of God in communion. Now the emphasis is on what that gift means to us for daily living. Blessed are those who from this table live their days in gratitude, the hymn says. That gratitude is lived out in worship toward God and in community, living and loving together, serving in compassion, caring for the needy, and more. Communion, rightly understood, doesn't end at the table. Communion results in changed lives. Communion isn't just received. It's meant to be lived every day. Perhaps you notice that every verse of this hymn ends the same way. And it's a good reminder for us every day. Taste and see the grace eternal. Taste and see that God is good. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.